Okay, so I think we were looking at uh, how to add a product into the cart. So that was the scenario we had picked. We had put some validations after we add our product to cart, right? Um, so we were validating the price, quantity, and then clicking add to cart, right? And once we go to the shopping cart, then here also we can perform the same validations. Like this was in a table, we were able to verify the product name, quantity, the price, right? And finally, we can also do a checkout. So we have created couple of page object classes where we have got all the page objects related to different pages and their respective methods, which are basically to perform actions on those page objects, right? So that's how you build your page object model framework. Okay. We were working with a particular product, which was MacBook, right? But what if I go to this show all laptops and notebooks or any product page, right? If I want to perform the same operation on any particular element, not just MacBook, right? So previously we were just performing that with one product, which we had to specify. But what if we want to do it with multiple products or any random product on the page, right? Not a product which we have specified in our tests. So there are multiple ways of doing that, right? So either you can have all the data in any particular data source, right? Or you can have that particular product name, you can pass it in tables, which we have seen using scenario outline, right? So for the product, you can either instead of this MacBook, you can mention any product name in the table, and then it can iterate over all the products, right? Either you can do it that way, or you can pass it over some Excel sheet, right? You can have different products from where you can pick the data and execute your test, right? But if that also you don't want to do, there are other ways of manipulating your XPaths, right? So either you can perform the same operation on all of these products, right? And how you can do that is, so here instead of this particular text MacBook, right, which we are using to identify this particular product, instead of that, take a XPath which is common across all the products. Okay, so if I go and inspect this, right, say this particular um, header link text, right, which has got this HPLP, the model number for the HP laptop, right? Similarly for MacBook, it will be the MacBook, right? So if you notice, all of these are header H4 tags, right? And all of these are links, and they have got their own text through which you can identify each product on the page. Now, if you want to find a common kind of XPath for all of these products, right? You cannot take the text of the product because then it will be fixed, right? You have to then mention all the text of all the XPath of all the different products in order to work on all these products. But if you are looking for a common XPath, right, which you can work out for all the products, you can have a look at this link href value. Okay, so this href value, you can see there is a URL and then there is product, right? And at the end you will see there is product ID equals to 47. Okay, and this should be the unique product ID for each product. Okay, so if I look for MacBook, you will see the product ID is 43. So every product will have a product ID which is unique across all the pages, right? So It should not be like the product ID can be same for two different products. Okay, so that is the common XPath which you can use. Okay, so something like you can use the h4/a. Okay, and then you can use the XPath contains method. Okay, and in this so here the href you have to give a regular expression or some expression which is unique, I mean, which is present always, right, in this particular text because we are using contains, right? So we have to use the at href attribute, and then inside this we will use the product ID. Okay, so that's our common attribute value which we'll be using to identify all of these elements. Okay, now once I do this, okay, once I use this XPath, you will see there are 5 elements. Okay, so first is the HP laptop, second is MacBook, third is MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and Sony, right? So all the 5 products will be covered with this particular XPath, which can be considered a common XPath for all the products. Okay, so if I use some XPath like this in my page object class, okay, so I will say link product. Okay, so if I'm going to use some XPath like this, which is a common XPath for all the products, what I can do after this is instead of clicking on the MacBook, right, I can click on any particular product by manipulating my XPath. Okay, so if I say click um, products, right, just changing the name of the method because we already have a similar method, right? So I'll say click element. Okay, and instead of using this particular XPath which we have written, which is a common XPath, right? But I want a specific XPath. So I will say string XPath equals. So here you have to use some string manipulations. Okay, if you want to use this common XPath in order to identify any particular product on the page. So what you can do is you can use the previous link product XPath, which is a string, right? And in order to identify a particular element, if you see here, right, I can use the same XPath, but I can add another condition here, right? So using the AND operator for XPath, we have a method, right? So if I use AND here and then I use again contains, right? I can use at href. This time I'm going to use 47. Okay, something like this. And once I add this and contains href 47, right, you can see that it will identify a particular element, right? So if I'm aware of a particular product ID, I can use that to manipulate my XPath in order to identify a particular element, right? So what I can do is I can say link product dot, right? I will use the string replace all method. Okay, and then here I need to pass the regex, which means which particular regular expression I want to replace, right? I want to use and replace that particular string. So I'm going to replace that ending square bracket, because that's where the expression ends, right? And I want to continue after that. So I'm going to have a replacement there, and I want to use this particular expression at the end of this XPath. Okay, so I can replace this square bracket, and I can replace it with this particular string so that it then adds it to this particular string. Okay, and that will be my actual XPath for a particular product. Okay, which I'm trying to identify, and then I can pass it in here where we want to click. Okay, so this is one way of manipulating your XPath using the string methods, right? Building your own XPath on the run, right? So not actually, so this will actually save you a lot of time and effort, because you then don't need to mention a particular locator for each product on the page, right? There could be hundreds, there could be thousands of products which you want your testing to be performed. So in this way, you can actually manipulate, you can have a common XPath and then manipulate the XPath where you want to use any particular product, right? And you can also kind of make this more sophisticated or complex, right? So instead of even passing this 47, you can have a list of numbers, product IDs, you can say, right? And you can again do another replacement, right? Where you just replace this product ID. Okay. So that's one way of doing it. Okay. The other way of doing it is much simpler, right? If you want to do this operation, all the products on the page. Okay. So instead of mentioning just one product, what you can do is you can replace that ending square bracket, right? Or we don't even need to do that. So what we am going to use is I am going to add the index, right? So I want to add the index here instead of the actual product ID, right? So I have to cover this inside round brackets, and then I need to mention the index, right? So index will pick up the first product on the page. Okay, so this is the XPath, and this is what we have to build on the fly, right? So how we can do this is simple string manipulations. We don't even require dot replace all, right? So what we can do here is first um, we will put a round bracket, okay, and we'll concatenate it with our existing s- string, right? So link product, okay, and so that will add the first round bracket, but how you will add the last round bracket. Okay, so for that, again, put a round bracket here, and then you can use index. Okay, so if you want to kind of use any particular index, either you can randomly generate it or you can just mention it here, right? And then use it here. These are some string manipulations through which you can actually create your own XPath for a particular product on the run. Okay, and then you can pass that XPath over to your particular method so that it can be performed. Now I can also do it for all the indexes, right? Uh, I can run it in a loop. So I can have 5 products, right? So I can have a loop ranging from 1 to 5, which will just pick up that all the indexes on the page, okay, inside this loop. So if I say something like this, if I know that there are 5 products on the page, I can put I here, right? And so this will basically give you the XPath. Okay, obviously you need to make some modifications, more modifications, because if you want to click on all the products, you need to modify all the other methods as well, right? Because if you are going to click on each element, you also want to perform other operations on those products as well, right? But this is how you can also build your XPath, right? So this is one way of doing it. Other way, I already told you, you can prepare your own test data, and that way either you can pass it in a scenario table or on a external file, and then pick up those product names and perform your operations on them. Or if you want it to be straightforward, right, if there are less number of products, you can also go for mentioning their XPath individually on your page object class. Okay, so let me just revert back this method. Okay, so any questions on this? How you can manage different, if you have multiple products on the page, how you can add them in a loop? So if they are of the same, I mean, kind of same XPath, right? You can see these are also having the same kind of XPath. It has got a H4 and A tag and then HREF, right? With product with a particular product ID. So all the products on any page will have this product ID. And using this, right, product ID, you can manipulate all the XPaths for all the products. Yeah, obviously your flow will be different, because then instead of going to show all laptops and notebooks, you need to first go to any particular page in order to access this particular product, right? But you can use the same XPath manipulation to kind of click on any product on any particular page. Okay, so I think this particular feature is, or scenario is, still we add the product to shopping cart and we verify it. So go to shopping cart and verify this, and that's where we are stopping it. Okay. Now I can have another feature file which will be checking out products. Okay, so I can call it checkout dot feature. All the steps, I mean, all the previous steps will still be applicable if you want to have a end-to-end scenario, right? So let me copy this and edit this. So we will call it checkout products. Okay. And we'll say user is able to check out products from shopping cart. Okay, so these steps will remain same. After this, I'm going to add some more steps. Okay, so the next step is to click on checkout. So I'm going to say user Clicks on checkout button. So once you click on checkout, right? So then this checkout page will be displayed. Okay. And then there will be different steps on this page which you have to perform. So you have to provide an address for your checkout or for your product to be delivered, right? So either I can use existing address or I can add a new address. Then user clicks on continue button. Okay, so then there has to be a payment method. You can also add comments here, right? So we need to click on agree to terms and conditions and then click on continue. So, and user agree checkbox. And user clicks on continue. Okay, so there seems to be some issue with the site today. I'm not able to continue.